All right, this update is brought to you by DraftKings Fantasy. Padres took 2 or 3 from the Dodgers over the weekend. They're in Milwaukee today to start a 3-game series starting at 4 p.m. Joe Musgrove on the mound for the Padres. Other Padres news of the day, Kevin Acey's reporting the Padres have signed infielder Donovan Solano to a minor league contract. Scotty Scheffler won the Masters yesterday, his second green jacket in his career. In the NFL news of the day, the Eagles signed wide receiver Devontae Smith to a 3-year contract extension. Check out what DraftKings has to offer this season with code SPORTS because life's more fun when you're in on the action. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Age and eligibility restrictions do apply. Void where prohibited. See DraftKings.com for details today. What's going on, San Diego? Jon and Jim on a Monday, except it's the Jim and Brent show for the entire week. Jon decided to go on a vacation. What?
He's at like the crayon factory or something. I don't know what.
Yeah, he sends us pictures today at around, I guess, 1:30-ish, and it's a picture of 2 crayons that say on them Jon and Jim. And his exact text message was the perfect crayon doesn't egg. And then he shows us the picture of the crayons, implying that they are the perfect crayons. And I thought to myself at first, where did you find crayons with Jon and Jim on it? But then realized he's at the crayon factory. So Jon is on vacation at the Crayola Crayon Factory. Sounds like a fun vacation to me.
That's a Jon vacation.
It's a very Jon vacation.
They can't go to Park City every time.
It's like, hey, Jon, what'd you do this weekend? Did you go anywhere fun? No, I went to the Crayon Factory. Oh, okay. It's a very Jon thing to do. I think he's going to go to the Hershey factory later this week. Yay. Who does? When you go to Pennsylvania, you got to go to the Hershey's factory.
I think I'd have more fun there than the Crayola factory or wherever.
Well, we know why he went to the Crayola factory because obviously Jones.
Yeah, that's what he says.
Exactly. That's what he says, but I didn't see any pictures with Jones today at the Crayola factory. So Jon will be gone this week. He'll be back on Monday. I know Saturday will be the Aztec Spring Game. We are going to be broadcasting live at the Aztec Spring Game. So Jon is going to be out there. I think I'm going to be out there as well. It's going to be a fun time to, for fans to see this Aztec team up close and personal. Sean Lewis's, new Aztec fast offense at Snapdragon Stadium. So that's going to be fun. So stay tuned for that. But today we start with this past weekend. And what a weekend it was for the Padres, taking 2 or 3 from the Dodgers. And it's always great to win series. It's always great to, if you can beat the Dodgers, that's fun. Doesn't happen often. Doesn't happen a lot where you can say that you've won series in LA, but winning series in LA is a big deal just because usually more often than not, Dodgers, that they beat up on every team that comes to LA in the regular season. Different story in the postseason, but in the regular season, more often than not, it's very hard to win at Dodger Stadium. And the Padres took 2 or 3. But that, to me, was like secondary. Like, yes, the Padres taking 2 or 3 is great. It's awesome. Fantastic. The story of what happened Saturday night, which led into Sunday Night Baseball, is kind of, shaping what this team is going to be this year. And it's a team that's not going to back down. It's a team that always fights. And 3 of the wins this past week were all come from behind victories, starting with the Monday epic 8-0 come from behind victory where they win 9-8. And then Friday night in Dodger Stadium where they were trailing, I think 7-3 in that game. And they end up winning that game 8-7. And then last night, albeit it wasn't this crazy deficit. It was only a 2-run deficit. They were trailing 3-1. But then Jurickson Profar, the man of the hour, has the big hit to clear the bases to give them a 6-3 lead. And if you've been under a rock for this entire weekend and you don't know why Jurickson Profar is very relevant to be talking about right now, Saturday night, I don't know what the hell happened. So the Dodgers Gavin Stone was pitching a perfect game or a no-hitter, a perfect game, one or the other. And in the middle of that game, I want to say it was the 5th or 6th inning.
I think he was still perfect at that point.
Still perfect? Okay. And he throws a pitch kind of up and in on Profar. I took no exception to it. And I know a lot of people always want to say, you're trying to hit our guys. You're trying to hit our guys. I looked at that moment as just trying to get him to get off the plate. And he's pitching a perfect game. So why would he try to hit somebody in that moment? And Profar took exception to it. I mean, I wouldn't have taken exception to it. Maybe they have a different mindset. Maybe they're like, we're not going to take any crap from the Dodgers this year, no matter what. And from that sense, I like it. But then Will Smith starts chirping behind the plate. I don't know who started it. I don't know if Profar, because Profar kind of made a lunge towards the mound, and then he kind of stepped back, and then he turned over to Will Smith, and Will Smith, I think, was saying something, and Profar chirped back at him, and then Will Smith got up and got into Profar's face, and then, of course, because when that happens, you have to have the benches clear every single time in baseball when no one does anything, and it's the funniest thing in the world,
it's unwritten rule,
to see the benches clear, and then you see the bullpens run in, and it feels like one of those things where the bullpen's only coming in just to like say, hey, I'm present, I'm here. I made an appearance in the benches clearing, quote unquote, brawl. I feel like that's what, always happens unless it's a real actual fight, which we didn't get, but we just got some chirping back and forth. And you kind of thought that was over with. After that moment, Padres go up and lose in that game. Dodgers win that game, and you're like, okay, got to get tomorrow's win to hopefully get 2 or 3. After you win the first game, it would suck to end up losing the next 2 to the Dodgers, and then we would have a completely different conversation today. But then Will Smith decided to open his mouth post-game to Dave Vassegh, of all people.
Friend of the show.
Love Dave Vassegh. And he went on and said this.
All right, so 4th inning, Jurickson Profar overreacts to a pitch inside. What was said between you two?
Yeah, I don't know what his deal was. He thought we were trying to throw at him. I don't know why we would have thrown at him. He's kind of irrelevant, but yeah, I don't know. He started mouthing off, and yeah, everybody came out. I don't know why he was throwing such a big deal about that.
Hey, thank you. It feels like he was trying to bunt. I don't think you guys took exception to that, but it seemed like he overreacted to a pitch inside with a perfect game.
Yeah, maybe he was trying to rattle Stoney. I don't know. I don't know what that was all about, but pretty stupid in my book.
What? Okay, now it's those are fighting words. Those are fighting words. Not like actual physically fighting, but you have now poked not the bear, but you've poked the Padres. You have now
bulletin board stuff.
Sent the first shot across the bow. You have now made it so it is fair game for whatever the Padres do or say next. Fair game. I'm not saying fight, but post-game wise, it is fair game to talk all that S. Because if you're not the first person, like, the saying, I'm not going to start a fight, but I'll finish one. This is the perfect scenario here where the Padres didn't start a fight, but damn well they finished it on Sunday night last night up in LA. And how poetic that Jurickson Profar in the 6th inning with the bases loaded, he gets up to the plate, bases clearing double. That was the ball game. They win 6-3. And it was just so perfect. In that moment, you're sitting there like, please, Jurickson, please do something, because it would just be the chef's kiss after what Will Smith was yapping about on Saturday night. And he knew what he was doing. He knew when he said, this guy's irrelevant. He knew what he was doing. This is not, no offense to Tyler Wade. This is not Tyler Wade. And again, no offense to Tyler Wade. But Jurickson Profar is recently a 10-year vet. He just had a moment this past, I think, week or 2 weeks ago where he officially became a 10-year MLB service time player. So he has 10-year service time in the bigs. That's pretty relevant to me. If anybody in the big leagues plays for 10 plus years and gets 10 years of service time, which is huge in baseball, you're not irrelevant. And Profar, he's done a lot of things. He's been in postseason. He's been in big series. He's had big moments. He, at one time, was a number 1 overall prospect. We all know because AJ Preller absolutely loves Jurickson Profar. And so he has that moment. We'll get to the actual game. And I know the Padres come up here and play about in an hour or so. We'll talk to Kyle Glazer. He was covering all 3 games this weekend at Dodger Stadium. We'll talk to him at the bottom of the hour. But, Jurickson Profar comes up with the big moment. And then after the game, he was asked by Kevin Acee,
The ace man,
who we'll talk to on Friday, about what Will Smith said. And I thought this was a perfect response from Profar.
Do you feel relevant?
No, man, I'm not gonna comment on that. I'm just gonna play like I did.
You did hear about it, though?
Yes, I don't about it.
Okay.
But I'm not a media guy. I show up out there.
I love it. I'm not a media guy. I show up, laughs in Will Smith's face, let the plane do all the talking. Now, if Jurickson Profar ended up having a bad game yesterday, it would have not really hit the same if he said that post game. Now, if they won, that'd be great. But doing that in that moment and shoving it in that Will Smith's face was fantastic.
Well, yeah, it's just like, during the football season, me and John would pick on, Brock Purdy about how awful he is. But, if he would go out and throw for 450 yards and 5 touchdowns on Sunday, we kind of have to eat our own words. And that's pretty much what happened to Will Smith.
You got to eat crow.
You got to watch what you say sometimes about the media. And for me, it just kind of, I thought it kind of painted a bigger picture of just what the Dodgers think of the team as a whole, with the exception of probably Manny and Tatis and maybe Bogarts, that they're just irrelevant and they don't matter. It's just a team full of irrelevant people.
Well, I tell you one thing,
because every time the Dodgers play somebody, that's their World Series, according to the Dodgers.
I'm glad the Padres won 2 World Series games over the weekend. That was fantastic. But the Padres, the Dodgers, if the Padres are going to continue to play like this versus the Dodgers, guess what? You better be actually paying attention, because if you're not, you're going to lose series and lose games versus these guys, because the Padres are a completely different team this year. Completely different.
Well, it was nice just because, like, in years past, we've had leads, and then, like, the first night when all of a sudden they went off and scored like 5 runs in that one inning, and you're like, oh crap, here we go again. But they fought back and they came back to where, we've talked a couple weeks ago about last year's team. If they fell behind 2-0 in the third inning, or like, they're screwed, because we have no faith in them that they can come back from a 2-run deficit with a whole game to play. And it doesn't really feel like that, even though, like I said, that especially Friday night when, they jumped at, was it 4 in that one inning or 5 in that inning? When
I think, Manny hit a home run to start off the game, 2-run home run. And then they scored
Muncy
4 in one inning. Yeah.
And then it was just like, oh, here
like
we go.
7-2 or 7-3.
So
the whole series it felt like a little bit of a revelation. Now, it is very early on in the season. Things can obviously change. But going back to Monday night's come from behind victory, we all said, is this going to catapult them into at least the next week or two into them playing really good baseball? Or are they going to, and ironically enough, the next game they scored, I think, 1 run, and it was like, here we go again. But then they won on Wednesday. They had the come from behind victory on Friday. They had the come from behind victory on Sunday. And you watch these games, and the more this team stacks up come from behind victories, it'd be nice to not always have to come from behind in games to win. But when you do, it feels like a win and a half. It feels like it's extra. It feels like whenever you play this Padres team, you better put them out of their misery, or else they're going to be fighting, and they have an opportunity to come back in games now. They have that belief. And you couldn't say that about last year's team at all. Last year's team, like you said, Brent, you go down by a couple runs, over. It's over. You took what they did this past week with 3 come from behind victories. They have 4 come from behind victories this entire season. 4 in 18 games. I don't think they had 4 all of last year.
Well, yeah, because they're
swing the bat, bro.
I know, swing the bat, bro. And that's what they're doing. They're swinging the bat. They're making contact. And they had, 14 walks yesterday.
I was say they had a walk-palooza yesterday.
This is a completely different team. Completely different team. As of right now. Not saying that this is going to be the norm for the entire season. But up to this point, 18 games in, it is a completely different team. One more thing from inside that clubhouse, because, you can't have a controversy against the Dodgers without asking about it. Asking Manny Machado about it. And here was Manny Machado after the game talking to the media about Mr. Relevant, Jurickson Profar.
How relevant has Jurickson Profar been to the team this year?
What's that word? I don't even know what that word means. I think was it irrelevant? I don't know. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to check the dictionary on that, because he's been leading this team big time, and numbers speak for himself. Every time he comes out here and he steps on that field, he makes a big impact in the game. And at the end of the day, boy got 10 years in the league, and there's only a handful of baseball players in all of baseball who have accomplished that goal. So I put a little bit of respect on his name.
What was your reaction when you saw Smith's words about Jurickson?
I don't really pay attention to that stuff. it is what it is. At the end of the day, it's everyone has their opinion, but at the end of the day, I think how I see it is this baseball game is unity. And whenever you got a guy who got 10 years in the league, I think he's a little bit more relevant than being irrelevant, as he said. So you got to put some respect on some people's names, and I think that's what this game is losing. They're losing respect for some of these guys who have been doing this for a very long time. So but at the end of the day, we got to go out there and play baseball, and we're going to compete, and things are going to get flared up, and they want to win, we want to win, and we're going to continue playing that game.
Manny's like, yeah, we weren't paying much attention to it, yet the entire time he was referring to what Will Smith said about Jurickson Profar being irrelevant. The more I think about it, when you say a guy is irrelevant, that is, those are like I said, those are fighting words. It's not just about like, oh, that guy was acting stupid, or I don't know what he was thinking, or he called him irrelevant.
Yeah, he said he doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Why would we throw at him? He doesn't matter.
He doesn't matter. That is such a form of it's disrespect, straight up.
Yeah.
And Will Smith knew what he was doing. When you call a guy irrelevant, like if I was like, this show's like if I was talking about someone else and like, that guy's irrelevant. That to me is like, oh, you really? You calling me irrelevant?
Yeah.
Okay. That means I'm in your head. That means that you're thinking about me. If you're going to call me irrelevant, then you're aware of me.
It's one of those things where it would have been one thing if he said that, like maybe about Jackson Merill or somebody that doesn't have.
Even Jackson Merrill's playing amazing, so how can he be irrelevant?
Well, I know, but I just mean like in the larger scheme of things, because he's only been in the majors for like 3 weeks now, 4 weeks now.
57 at bats, yeah,
compared
or 56
to
at bats.
like what Manny was getting at. Profar's been in the league for 10 years. It's not that you can be in the NBA or the NFL for 10 years and be Brett Favre's backup and never enter the game.
Yeah.
You're not going to stay in the majors for 10 years unless you can actually play or have something to contribute to your team. They don't sign dudes just to sit them on the bench in the majors like they do in other sports.
And it's not that Jurickson Profar, like, is he a Hall of Famer?
Unless
like,
you're Matt Carpenter.
True. Is Jurickson Profar a Hall of Famer? Like, no, he's not. But
good enough.
His numbers don't lie this year. His numbers don't lie this year. He's been absolutely amazing. He has been such a bright spot for this team that is, I think, kind of out of the blue, to be honest with you. You know, we were talking all offseason, like, oh, the reason that they're going to sign Jurickson Profar is because the vibes are great. The, vibes above replacement, right? That we said here on Jon and Jim. That's all. It's awesome. But it only matches if you actually go out and perform. Because you can be the guy that everyone loves, but if you're not performing, you're probably not going to be on this team long. Because it would have been very easy if Jurickson Profar was hitting like 110 for AJ Preller and this team to look in a different direction and make a change in left field. But instead, Jurickson Profar has been a huge reason why this team has looked different this year, because he's producing, he's performing. And when you put that all together, then the vibes thing works. Then people actually listen to you. Then the clubhouse mood is what it is, because it's like, okay, I'm going to listen to a guy who's actually going out on the field and backing it up. That's how Manny has always led. That's how Manny will always lead. He is a guy like, my actions on the field back it up, and he's always done that. That's why he's not a guy that's a big rah-rah guy like Jurickson Profar is.
Speaking of Manny, before we go to break, what did you think of that jackass Dodger fan that caught Manny's home run ball, pocketed it, and then threw another ball onto the field to try and make it look like, oh yeah, I hate Manny Machado, even though I kept his home run ball and threw a meaningless ball on the field?
That's a very, very good question, Brent, and we're going to get into that later in the show, because we have the audio of this fake loser Dodger fan that threw the ball, like Brent said, back on the field after he caught the Manny home run. You're going to hear his lame excuse later in the show. And man, it is a lame excuse. One of the more lame excuses you'll ever hear about a Dodger fan, doing what he did last night, throwing Manny's home run ball back on the field. All right, coming up next, Kyle Glazer. He was covering this weekend's action up in LA. We'll hear his thoughts about the weekend and Jurickson Profar and Will Smith, because we just heard him in there in the scrum talking to Manny Machado. So Kyle Glazer, he'll join us next on Jon and Jim.
Guys, if you're looking to eat healthier when you're on the go, I've got the solution for you. Almond RX packs. You can eliminate the vending machine from your day and get your daily dose of vitamin D as well. Get that immunity boost. Everyone loves a healthy snack for their family. If you're looking for something that's healthy and tasty and curbs hunger, look no further than Almond RX, the first and only skinless almond fortified with vitamin D. It's got your daily serving of 23 almonds, and it was founded by a San Diego sports medicine physician. It's packed with nutrients, supporting your heart health, cellular health, and gut health as well. You can find Almond RX packs at any Foodland in San Diego County, Harvest Ranch in Encinitas, or at almondrx.com. That's ALMONDRX.com. If you go there right now, you're getting free shipping on orders over $25. You heard me right. Free shipping, orders over $25 at almondrx.com. Curb hunger. It's perfect for the on-the-go lifestyle.
All right, this update is brought to you by DraftKings. Padres, after taking 2 or 3 from the Dodgers over the weekend, are back in action today versus the Milwaukee Brewers. 4 p.m. first pitch there. Joe Musgrove on the mound for the Padres. Other news with the Padres. Kevin Acee is reporting today they have signed infielder Donovan Solano to a minor league contract. Golf over the weekend, the Masters. Scotty Scheffler won his second green jacket in his career. In NFL news of the day, the Eagles signed wide receiver Devontae Smith to a 3-year contract extension. Check out what DraftKings has to offer this season with code SPORTS, because life's more fun when you're in on the action. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Age and eligibility restrictions do apply. Void where prohibited. See DraftKings.com for details today. Back here on Jon and Jim. Of course, Jon is out this week on vacation, a much-needed vacation for him. So it's me and Brent holding down the fort until he gets back. And it's great to be joined right now by Kyle Glazer, who was up in LA this weekend covering all 3 games there for MLB, I believe, MLB.com. And Kyle, great to have you on the show, man. Appreciate it. First off, I mean, looking at this year's Padres team, and all of the holes that we all thought they had going into this season, and what's over the course of a year they still might have. How impressed are you with how this offense and how this team has looked this year?
Very impressed so far. I think the bottom of the order was really one of the biggest question marks coming into the season, and we've seen those guys for the most part deliver. Jackson Merrill's off to a great start. We saw a couple nice hits by Kyle Higashioka to break up the no hitter the other night. So far this offense has certainly been really, really impressive. Obviously the big guys at the top, but at the bottom too. Again, it's a long season. There's a lot of baseball still to be played, but that's been a big part of the Padres having some of their comeback wins this past weekend and overall this season.
And a lot of the name that we talked about, we had you on multiple times, and we asked you about him a lot. And that's Jackson Merrill. Jackson Merrill, a 20-year-old kid, right now, what he's doing, to me, I think, and tell me if you feel the same way, I think the most impressive part of what Jackson Merrill is doing right now, and if you look at his numbers, is his on-base percentage. Over 400 as a 20-year-old. Is that what stands out to you, or is there something else that stands out to you from what Jackson Merrill is doing right now?
Well, it all stands out for me. Between offensively, between defensively, I think what really stands out is his composure and maturity. Being in the locker room, talking from pregame, postgame, he's like a seasoned veteran, a very calm, steady, composed heartbeat. People were asking him about Will Smith's comments about Jurickson Profar, and he just responded like a veteran. That Will Smith's a great player. He can tell to his opinion, and Profar is someone they value in the Padres clubhouse. He's beyond his years. On the field, his quality of bat, weight defense in center field, and also just how he carries himself. He's been impressive all the way around.
Do you think that he could stick as a center fielder for this team for the foreseeable future?
The way he's played so far, it looks like it really should not go underrated how difficult it is when he's pulling off. To switch positions in the major leagues, he's barely played anywhere in the outfield in his amateur career. For him to come up, learn how to play center field on the fly, and playing it as well as he is, yes, a lot of it's athleticism, but also just incredible maturity, dedication to fundamentals, work ethic, all the things you need to be successful. He has it, and I think because of that, you feel pretty good about his ability to maintain this local foot over the long term.
Kyle Glazer joining us right now on Jon and Jim. You mentioned the Will Smith comments on Saturday night. First off, what did you make? I mean, when you call a guy irrelevant, Kyle, those are fighting words. Those aren't like something that's going to be just brushed off here. And then, of course, last night, Jurickson Profar is very poetic that he comes through. What did you get from the vibe of the clubhouse? Because I know you were down there. How they took those comments inside that clubhouse.
I actually got the sense the team took it very, very maturely. Some of them just dismissed it and said, yeah, whatever. A few other guys that they kind of raised their eyebrows a little bit, but they didn't let it jar them. They didn't let it become their motivating factor. I actually was expecting a couple of players to answer that. It really got them fired up. And to a man, every single one of them said, honestly, we don't care. We're going to go out and play our game, Profar included. I thought that it was really, really interesting how this Padres clubhouse this year seems less emotional than Padres clubhouses in years past. It seemed a little more mature, a little more steady, and we're seeing that in the quality of their at bats late in games. And I think we saw that in the way they handled the comment and everything that followed the day after.
Does Fernando Tatis Jr. look like the 2021 MVP caliber Fernando Tatis Jr. again to you?
Absolutely. Again, it's only been 18 games.
Right.
It's a long season. There's a lot of baseball left to be played. But look, when you look at what he did last year, I think some people are disappointed. When you take into consideration he hadn't played in 18 months, was coming off 3 surgeries, and was playing an entirely new position. It's actually impressive he did as well as he did. I think it makes complete sense now that here, kind of year 2 back, we're starting to see him regain the form that he showed previously. Again, there's a lot of baseball left to be played, but you can just see it the way he's moving, the way he's swinging the bat, obviously having some huge, huge, huge clutch hits as well this past weekend. He's certainly looking like the MVP candidate we all know he is.
When you look at this, the lineup, Kyle, there's still holes in it. There's a third base hole. Whenever Manny gets back to third base, the DH is going to be something that they're going to have to look at. But with what they're doing offensively right now, what would you attribute that to the most? Like, who do you say is the key guy making this offense go and being like the linchpin in this entire, lineup as of right now?
I think more than any one individual player being the linchpin, I actually have noticed the approaches are so much better compared to last year, up and down the lineup. We saw last year, particularly late in games, it'd be a close game late, and the team as a whole would go up, swing from their shoes. Everyone was trying to play hero, trying to hit a 450-foot home run, when sometimes you just need to get that tying run in from third base. They had a really poor record in one-run games, and the players talked about it, that they knew that late in games they were not having good at bats. We're seeing this year's team, to a man, 1 through 9, having much better at bats. Again, they trailed in all 3 games this series against the Dodgers. They came back to tie all 3 of them and won 2 of them. And you just saw them chip away. They were able to put the ball in play when they needed to. They were taking what the pitcher gave them with some singles that at the time is just what they needed. I just think as a whole, the Padres are having much better approaches, and we're seeing better results as a result.
Another rookie on this team, Yuki Matsui, he looked fantastic in LA. This Padres bullpen, at the beginning of the year, I said it could be a strength. And if Robert Suarez was back to his 2022 version of himself, and if Yuki Matsui could perform, they have some pieces, Wandy Peralta, De Los Santos. They could be a bullpen that, maybe might be top of the league. Do you feel that way? And what did you make of how the bullpen was in LA versus the Dodgers?
I mean, they were fantastic Friday and they were fantastic Sunday. And, Tom also kind of hiccup on Saturday, but overall, the bullpen was fantastic. Like Phil talked about it. And I think the most interesting thing is, we still have these guys who are still getting their feet wet a little bit. Yuki Matsui looked great so far. This is his first in the major league. I think we need to see how his control holds up over the course of the year. We've seen times when it gets away from him. He's got great stuff. That's no big question. But you can see it going one of 2 ways. Maybe the control takes a step back as the year progresses, or he gets more and more comfortable, and all of a sudden we see him take another step forward. Robert Suarez, as you mentioned, coming back. They're pitching really well. There's upside. But again, it's a long season. I think we don't want to overreact to 18 games, how anyone has produced over them, as much as some of the trends are encouraging.
So, the things with this team, when you look at it and you say, all right, they still need this, they still need that, potentially, is it still a bat to you? Is it still a bat, or like throughout this lineup? Like, do you think, that's something over the course of this season and how it progresses and how it plays out, that's going to be the number one thing that this team will need for this season to hopefully be a playoff year?
Yeah, I think when you look at the lineups, you still see some of the starting lineups. You look at the bottom 3 or 4 hitters, and it's still not what you typically see from a playoff caliber lineup. And again, some of that is we'll see when Manny Machado comes back and starts playing third base, and maybe it's less Tadaway and Eggy Rosario. I do think, though, fortifying the bottom of the lineup will be something that would benefit the Padres over the course of this season whenever they do it.
And finally, Kyle, we talked a lot about Jackson Merrill, and there's been some talk of maybe moving him up in the lineup to. I know he led off on Saturday night, but that was because Xander Bogaerts got a day off, and Xander's been struggling a lot this year in the leadoff spot. Would you move him up in the lineup, or do you think just like, hey, you're doing great at the bottom of the lineup. You're still 20 years old. It's only been 50 something at bats. Like if it ain't broke, don't try to mess with it. Would you keep him at the bottom of the lineup, or do you see him eventually maybe moving up towards the top of the order?
His performance is going to dictate where he hits. And the way he's performing, again, it's not just the numbers. It's the quality of his at-bats. It's how he's not fazed by anything. I mean, that game-winning hit in the 11th, it was an 0-2 count with 2 outs against a tough lefty. He put a really good swing on a ball to poke it through the open left side. He has the contact and on-base skills you want to see from a prototypical top-of-the-order type of hitter. If he keeps it up, there's no reason not to move him up in the order.
All right. Love it. Kyle Glazer joining us here. He's covering all 3 games in LA this past weekend. Kyle, we'll see you soon. Thanks for joining me, man. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Anytime.
All right. Kyle Glazer there. Longtime baseball writer, covers baseball for a living, was up in LA and watched every single game, covered every single game. So he saw everything that happened. And it was a very good series. Like if you're just a baseball fan in general, that series over the weekend was just a very aesthetically pleasing series. There was drama, there was comebacks, there was huge hits, there was extra innings, good pitching performances, big time home runs. Like it had everything. It had everything. And the best part is, if you're a Padres fan, the Padres took 2 of 3. Couldn't ask for anything more. All right, coming up next, we hear from Mike Schilt. When does he expect Manny Machado to return to the field? We'll hear what Mike Schilt has to say coming up next on Jon and Jim. All right, coming up next, we'll hear from Mike Schilt. When will Manny Machado return to the field? You'll hear from him coming up next. John was making fun of me last week. Like, oh, tune in on Monday to hear about pancakes and dinner and Aaron's birthday. Oh, it's gonna be great. Ratings spike. Wow. Tell you what, um, last night's dinner, Brent.
Where'd you go?
Dude, we went to a Michelin star restaurant in Carlsbad. You know what a Michelin star means?
Yeah, expensive.
Besides that,
Well, you already went, so it's not like you can't tell us where you went.
no, I'm just saying. Like, do you like some people don't know
Yeah,
what
I know.
Michelin
Yeah,
star
yeah, yeah.
means?
It means they're good.
It means they're really, really good, and you have to like basically get voted into it. And not many restaurants have a Michelin star, so to have a Michelin star, it's very impressive. And I've never been to a Michelin star restaurant before, and I've always wanted to go. And so I took Aaron last night. Of course, we're going out to dinner tonight again. It's like when you have a birthday, you just have to. For us, it's like we just do multiple nights. I know you're probably thinking out there like, why do you do multiple dinners? Like you should just do one.
I'm lucky if I get one.
Yeah, I gave her multiple. So we're going to Smoking Goat tonight in North Park. But last night we went to a place called Junette Jolie. It's a French place,
Obviously.
and highly, highly, highly recommended out there. It's not going to break the bank. It's $115 for a 4-course dining experience. So it's not like a crazy $500 meal. But if you want to make it a $500 meal, you absolutely could. But the place was amazing. If you go to my Instagram page, at Jim Russell SD, you can see all the food that I posted.
Was the menu in French?
The items, like it said, like 1, 2, 3, 4, like the numbers were in French.
Translations with it,
but like the food, it told you what the actual food was. Like some stuff was named a French word, but then it described it to you. And then
I just wonder if it was like it was in the movies where it's all in French, to where if you don't speak French, then you look like an ass trying to order.
No, they all spoke well.
You ordered bread for every course.
They actually did bring us bread in between courses. That was like the most amazing bread I've ever had.
French?
No,
I'm just assuming you don't. But
I don't speak any French.
Maybe she does.
She doesn't speak any French, but it was fantastic. Highly recommend. If you like espresso martinis, this is the place to go. So go there, get the espresso martini. It was fantastic. Anyway, I know everyone wanted to hear about my dinner out with Aaron last night, and not Darren, Aaron. And then how I made pancakes for her this morning. But it is her birthday, so happy birthday to Erin, my future wife. She's at home right now on the couch doing absolutely nothing, which I'm kind of jealous of. Okay, so Mike Schilt talked today for MLB on MLB radio or Sirius XM or wherever. And the question about Manny Machado returning to the infield came up. And I thought this was an interesting answer by Schulte.
He's progressing. I can tell you that. He's recovering well, which clearly, matters. And he's being able to take the next steps. He's in a unique situation where he's playing and competing in, a big homer last night, a couple of knocks. He's swinging the bat well, but he's also in a rehab mode with his arm. So he's getting his work in before games. Actually, during games, he's throwing to work on that volume that he would expect to get during a game. So he's taking the right steps. Don't want to put a timetable on it, but he is moving in a really good direction. So, just looking like sooner than later, but I can't tell you when sooner is.
So sooner than later, but he doesn't know when sooner is. Huh?
I don't think they know.
I don't think they know either. You're right. I think that they're going to take this very slow, because the last thing you want to do is have Manny hurt his arm again.
And honestly, I would just take it slow. It's not like, whoever they're, plugging in, whether it's, Wadey or whoever, for that game, whether it's Eggy or Wadey, whoever's they're plugging in at third that day. It's not like they're booting balls off their, leg every other game to where it's like, oh God, this is just a glaring, we need Manny out at third now because it's costing us games. As long as, they can just play adequate third base and, Manny keeps hitting the ball, they can take their time bringing him back if he's not ready yet. But yeah, it seems like, according to going by their original timetable that they gave us in spring, that I don't think they really know when he's going to come back because, spring training, oh, he's looking great. Maybe 2 weeks. And I was like, oh, yeah, maybe
a month,
another 2 weeks.
Maybe another month and a half. Maybe this, maybe that. And you might argue that Manny Machado needs to be in the field, but more importantly, his bat needs to be in that lineup. And if you put him at third base, then you're downgrading your DH spot. You don't have any. You're going to put Tyler Wadey as your DH. You put Eggy as your DH.
That'll be a different problem.
You're going to put Sugar as your DH.
That'll be a problem they'll address when they get to it.
Well, they're probably not going to have Tommy Pham because it looks like Tommy Pham's going to sign with the Chicago White Sox.
I don't really want him to sign Pham anymore.
Well, you're not signing Pham to replace Jurickson Profar. I can tell you that now.
That's what I mean. We don't need to replace Jurickson Profar at this point in time.
No, you don't.
I don't think we do anyways.
But I would argue, at some point, they're going to need another bat. Now, Tommy Pham's not going to wait until Manny Machado is ready to go back on the infield, which could be another month and a half at the earliest. So you're going to have to now probably wait until the trade deadline to get another bat, unless you think Donovan Solano, who they signed to a minor league contract today, is that other infield bat that you desperately need.
It's the X factor.
A couple of years ago, I think he had a good season with the Giants. I think he was like almost an all-star. But, it's what are you going to say? It's another piece that they signed for cheap and see what you got with him. And if he's up, he's up. And if he's not up, then it doesn't really matter. It's kind of just a little insurance here and there, little insurance for that. And so we'll see. But Manny not going to be playing in the field for a while, sooner than later, but they don't know when sooner is. All right, coming up next, we have the wrap for you. Should the Padres sign Jackson Merill to a contract extension? Also, John Ireland, voice of the Lakers. He's going to be joining us today at 5 p.m. Lakers have a play-in game tomorrow afternoon versus the Pelicans.
The regular season just flew by.
Absolutely flew by. We are already in the postseason, so we'll talk to John Ireland, voice of the Lakers.
Give all credit to the play-in tournament.
Yeah, that really sped everything up a lot. Anyway, John Ireland will join us today at 5. Coming up next, the wrap. You're listening to Jon and Jim. All right, this update is brought to you by Taco Bell. Padres Brewers start a 3-game series in Milwaukee. 4:40 first pitch today. Joe Musgrove on the mound for the Padres. Other Padres news: Kevin Acee reported today that the Padres signed infielder Donovan Solano to a minor league contract. Golf over the weekend. Scotty Scheffler won his second green jacket of his career, winning the Masters yesterday afternoon. And NFL news of the day, the Eagles signed wide receiver Devontae Smith to a 3-year contract extension. Taco Bell's new Cravings value menu is a big deal, or rather, it's 10 big deals, from new items like the loaded nachos to familiar favorites like the spicy potato soft taco. Check it out at a participating Taco Bell today. Available for a limited time only while supplies last. All right, John and Brent for the rest of this week. John is on vacation. He'll be back next Monday. So I know if everyone's like, oh my gosh, where's John? That is where John is at. He is on vacation. He'll be back next week. And listening to that open there, Brent, it brought me back to what I saw a lot on social media last night during that game. Now, fully transparent here. I was at dinner. I was out to dinner with Erin for her birthday, and I only caught the last 4 innings of that game on the radio, or 3 innings on the radio. I forget, because we were out. They didn't have any TVs, and I was watching the game, like checking up on it. But full transparency, I didn't listen to the broadcast, and that was probably one of the biggest gripes with last night. And I feel like it's always a gripe whenever the Padres are on Sunday Night Baseball with the Dodgers, or playing the Dodgers, and you have, their announced crew of Ravitch and I forget who else was on the broadcast.
I don't know, because they got blacked out.
You got blacked out?
Yeah.
Well, if you have cable, it doesn't get blackout. If you have YouTube TV,
you have ESPN, but yeah, like MLB TV, even if you had the package,
MLB TV, they don't have it.
out,
But if you had YouTube TV or like Cox or Spectrum or whatever, then
anything that you got ESPN with.
Correct. Yeah. And, so thankfully and luckily I didn't hear much of the broadcast, but apparently it was a love fest with the Dodgers last night.
It always is.
It always is. It always is going to be. I feel like people are just wasting energy complaining about it, because we know it's going to be a love fest. We know the reasons why the Padres are on Sunday Night Baseball is, playing the Dodgers is because of the Dodgers. Now, the Padres will have to earn that spot. And if they're a good baseball team, then guess what? They're going to be put on Sunday Night Baseball versus someone other than the Dodgers. But right now, reasons why the Padres and Dodgers are on Sunday Night Baseball is major, for the Dodgers. So it is what it is. If you don't like the broadcast, I'm with you. It's not my favorite listen. It's kind of cringe. Like, it's not great. But at the same time, of course, we are all lucky here. You have Don and Mud. Everybody loves them. And so when you go from that, which is let's be real here, it's a super homer broadcast, as it should be. It's the Padres broadcast, to a more, I guess, unbiased, but then it feels a little more biased towards the Dodgers broadcast, and you hear the announcers, giving compliments to the Dodgers. You're like, what are you doing? Why are you complimenting the other team? That shouldn't happen. So it's a little bit of it's a little bit of both here. Yes, is it cringe? Is it something that isn't aesthetically pleasing to listen to, because they're hyping up the Dodgers and they have features about the Dodgers and everything during their broadcast? Like, yeah, it's annoying. But there's an easy fix: muting the TV. It's okay. You don't have to listen to it. You don't have to subject yourself to something that you don't like. It's a very simple fix. I feel like a lot of people, though, Brent, love to like hate watch and hate listen to everything out there.
It's hard to mute the TV though.
What do you mean hard? Did you just press the mute button?
I mean physically, literally hard. I just meant it's hard to sit and listen to a game in silence. Is my point.
True, and I understand that because
I've tried doing it the past.
It's a weird.
Tuesdays.
I get it. It's a weird thing. Like if you want to listen to the broadcast on mute, you're like, this is weird because if you're doing something around the house or if you like get up and go somewhere, you can't hear the TV and you have to physically watch it. So I understand that aspect of it all, but like, I mean, I just see a lot of complaining about the broadcast on the TV, and rightfully so. I get it. I'm the same way. I just kind of try to tune it out.
It's ESPN has their favorites, and it's that way. And it doesn't matter what the sport is, whether it's their endless, kissing Duke Blue Devil butt, or Dallas Cowboy butt, or they have their favorites, and they don't really try to hide that's their favorite. And the Dodgers are one of them. Yankees, Red Sox are another one. Yeah. There's a reason why, we'll go through the whole season of Sunday Night Baseball pretty much with like 4 series, because it'll be Cubs, Cardinals, Red Sox, Yankees, and then they'll throw in a couple Dodgers, Giants, and Dodgers, Padres in there. And then that's it.
I get it. It's not a great broadcast. Luckily, I didn't have to listen to it last night, so I'm probably not as outraged as a lot of other people out there are that have listened to the broadcast or listened to last night's broadcast. I just saw on social media, like, how bad it was, and I heard some clips and here and there, like Mookie Betts made a double play in one inning, and it was a routine double play, and you heard Carl Ravage say, an amazing play by Mookie Betts when he just literally stepped on the bag. Like, okay, it is what it is. It's whatever. I get it. There are probably moments where you roll your eyes in the back of your head as far as you possibly can because you're like, can you please stop doing these stupid features and just get to the game action? Can you stop having a feature about Freddie Freeman's cleats or Shohei Ohtani or Mookie Betts or whatever the case may be? I get the features in games. It's a produced up show because that's their like, here it is, Sunday Night Baseball. You have to have these stupid little weird features. It can't just be a baseball game where you have a broadcaster and a color commentator and a guy on the, the field and just do a broadcast and try to be as unbiased as possible. It's hard to do that because we know majority of the viewing audience probably is watching that game for the Dodgers. And East Coast wise, they're watching, they want to see Shohei Ohtani. They're probably not saying, I can't wait to see Jurickson Profar tonight. Here in San Diego, we're saying that. Here in San Diego, we're saying we can't wait to watch Jackson Merrill play baseball. But I don't think many people on the East Coast are tuning in to say, oh, let's watch Jackson Merrill play. Everybody in San Diego knows how awesome Jackson Merrill's been for the Padres and how awesome Jurickson Profar is. But it's because of Shohei. It's because of, to Manny. It's because of Toddy. It's because of Freddie Freeman. Like, it is what it is. Is it the best broadcast? No. Is it cringe? Yes. Does it make you want to like poke your eardrums? Like, probably at times. But, you just move on. And luckily they got the win last night. And during that bases clearing double by Jurickson Profar, Carl Ravage did have a pretty good call. He's saying that was he mentioned relevancy, or like that was a pretty relevant hit by Jurickson Profar because of what the comments were from Will Smith the previous night. So he understood the assignment there.
Well, that's one thing. ESPN, they were happy when Profar got that hit because it gave him something to talk about.
It was perfect.
That became the story of the game for the rest of the game.
Dude, it was
honestly probably for their next series. The teams will forget about it. They've probably already forgot about it, but from a broadcasting standpoint, ESPN, the next time they have their game on, that's all they're going to talk about.
And that, if you are a producer of that broadcast, you're sitting there saying, oh my God, this is perfect. Because you have a situation where a player on their team yaps his gums and calls a guy irrelevant. And then that said player who was called irrelevant comes up in the biggest moment and essentially wins the game for the Padres. So yeah, it was a perfect storm of things that happened over the weekend for the Padres. Winning 2 of 3, fantastic. You take that, you're playing good baseball. It seems like all the indicators here that we've talked about over the last week are all pointing upwards. The only problem is they're 9-9. Is it the best record? No. The worst record? No. It's obviously average because you're 500. You hope it gets better. Because the way the offense have played, Brent, and the way this pitching staff and the bullpen, especially the last week, you watch these games of the weekend, take the record out of the equation. Are you saying that this is a 500 baseball team right now? Probably not. And now they have to make sure that this stretch of good baseball that they've been playing over the last week here maintains into this week, and they can get a little cushion. They can get above 500, and hopefully at the end of the month, we're sitting here at 4/12 on a Tuesday afternoon, whenever that month ends, saying, "Wow, they got off to a good start. That's a good month to the season." But the indicators are all great. It's just they have to have it show up in the wins column. That's what they have to do. You have to stack up some wins here. And they're going through a pretty tough stretch. You have Milwaukee tonight, and then you come home, you play Toronto, and then you go on the road to Colorado, where it's been tough for you. But if your offense is going to be playing like this in Colorado, yeah, sign me up. And then you finish off the month here with, I believe, Brent, Cincinnati, and I forget who else they play at the end of this month. I don't have it in front of me. If you could figure that out, Brent, that'd be great. But they do have a tough schedule. And if by the end of the month you look up and they're 3-4 games over 500, I don't, maybe that might be asking a lot.
Let's see. After Milwaukee, they got Toronto for 3,
Philadelphia,
the Rockies for 4, then the Phillies, Reds, and then Arizona.
And they play Philadelphia in there as well at the end of the month.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tough schedule. And with the indicators there where they are, you hope you look up and this team has a good record at the end of the month, because I think that can carry them to the rest of the year. And what they're doing right now is already things that are going to be used for the rest of the season. Comeback victories, having that belief that anytime you're trailing in a game, they have an opportunity to come back and win. And that right there makes a team so scary. Is if you go down by a couple runs, oh crap, they're not going to die. They're not going to just give in. They're not going to give up. And if that turns out to be the true identity of this team this year, which would be awesome in what they're doing right now, man, I tell you what, this could be a really, really fun season for the Padres. All right, Brent, let's get to it.
Are you disappointed the Padres likely won't sign Tommy Pham?
I'm disappointed because of the narratives. I'm disappointed because that was like great content that we would have had. I'm not disappointed now because you see what the production is of these players. The only thing is you just like hope whenever the cool down period happens, it's not turning into like an ice cold cool down period for Profar and Merill and the rest of the guys, Cronenworth, that are producing this year, that are being like, real factors into why this offense looks the way it does. I still would have liked Tommy Pham on this roster, but Jurickson Profar stepped up in a huge way. I'm a little disappointed though. Not going to lie. I'm a little disappointed.
I'm not. I didn't want him to bring him back anyways.
Why?
Because he's more trouble than he is, good, to where he's just going to bring more off the field things.
But what did he do? But what did he do off the field? Was it like the bitching with the fans?
Threatening to fight fans.
Yeah.
And, on multiple occasions and stuff like that.
I get it. And that's a thing where it's like,
that's something
just don't listen to him.
That's something that we can put up with that if he's going to hit 30 home runs, but he's not going to hit 30 home runs. So we're not going to put up with that for a guy that's going to hit 15 homers.
I get it. And that's the same thing. What we do here is like, oh, the vibes are great. The nicknames are great. They don't mean anything unless you win or produce. I get it. Same thing with Tommy Pham. If he came here and he hit 210 and He got heckled a bunch, and he did a couple things. Like, people would have been like, "Get this guy out of town immediately."
Well, and I think that's all it would have took was he would have came back and everything would have been sunshine and roses until he went through like a 0 for 15 stretch, and then all of a sudden he was just gonna start throwing a conniption fit again. So I'm glad they didn't bring him back. I hope they don't.
Next
later.
question, Brent.
Is Scotty Scheffler going to win the Grand Slam in majors this year?
Dude, he was fantastic this weekend. And poor Colin Cowherd said that he wouldn't be watching the Masters if Scotty Scheffler was in the final pairing on Sunday. That sucks for him. Missed out on a really good round of golf and watching one of the best golfers in the world, the best golfer in the world right now, win his second major. But hey, I guess sometimes you have to draw a line in the sand. I will not watch if the best golfer in the world is in the final pairing on a Sunday at a major, especially at the Masters.
I'm with Colin. I didn't watch either.
Well, we know because you don't like golf.
I know.
But Scotty Scheffler, what he did this weekend was very, very Tiger-esque. And on Sunday, at one point in time, you had, I think it was either 4 or 5. It probably was only 4. 4 players all tied at 6 under on the leaderboard, heading into the back 9 at the Masters on a Sunday. And you're like, oh my God, I was texting with my buddies. I said, this could turn out to be one of the most epic finishes at the Masters that we've seen in a long time. And it really wasn't. And you know why it wasn't? Was because Scotty Scheffler continued to truck along, playing his game, and everyone around him had a major misstep. And because of that, it reminds you of what Tiger used to do. Tiger, he would make everybody around him so, scared. And everybody have these huge nerves going into the final day of the Masters that he would often win, not because he went out there and he made a crazy putt on 16 or he made an amazing shot on 15. Like, he would still do those things, but it would be because everybody around Tiger would crumble. And everybody around Tiger would miss that 4-foot putt for par and ended up being a bogey. Everybody around Tiger would have, that shot into the green, go to the left and go into the water. And then they would double bogey that hole. And Tiger Woods would get out with a par. And because he would par the hole, it's like everybody around him's just kind of failing. And that's what Scotty Scheffler did. It felt a lot like the Tiger effect this weekend in the final round on the back 9 with what Scotty was doing.
Did Tiger actually finish the weekend?
He finished the weekend.
What did he get?
He finished in last place. But he finished the weekend.
Hey, I didn't think he was even going to do that. So
for him, he's to even contend in a major now would be so difficult for him because
you make it
of
sound like
his.
He's 87 years old.
Well, I mean, he's got a bum leg. His back's a problem. I mean, how many surgeries has he had on his ACL? I mean, he's limping out there to just finish a tournament and finish all 4 rounds. For him at that age, with all of the issues that he's dealing with physically, it's impressive. Even though I know you don't think it's impressive, Brent, it's impressive.
I was going to say, are you finally ready to put the thing to bed about he can actually win another major?
Well, probably, yeah.
Safe to say here, just talking about how he's so beat up.
I just can't. Just watching Tiger growing up and seeing how many times he was just, dominating the courses and winning all these tournaments and winning all these majors. It's just like hard to say, like, yeah, he can't win one more because golf. Yes, I know his body is definitely an issue for him. But I feel like if he continues to play these tournaments and continues to finish these tournaments, that would give me at least a little sign of hope. But I at this point in time, it's hard to envision him winning any major going forward. Because he started out great. He started out really well on Thursday. And I think, honestly, the weather kind of screwed him because he only played, I think, 13 holes on Thursday. And then he had to play 22 on Friday. And for his body, that's tough. It's tough. But he got through it. He finished the weekend. Did not play well at all for the 3rd and 4th rounds, but he finished it. And it is kind of ironic. Like, you had Scotty Scheffler, who I thought the performance yesterday was the most reminiscent of a Tiger performance, not from him dominating a course, but from what everybody around him did and how it felt like the Tiger effect. Like this, hey, Scotty has a 3-shot lead. This thing is over. Having him finish at the top of the leaderboard and then having Tiger finish at the bottom of the leaderboard. It's kind of it's a weird, like the imagery and the symmetry there is interesting. I don't know what it means. I don't know if it means anything, but it was interesting to see. All right, Ben, next question.
Will this be the final game for the Warriors' big three versus the Kings in the play-in game tomorrow?
Probably. I wouldn't be shocked if they lose. I wouldn't be. I mean, would I be surprised if they win? No. But would I be surprised if they lose? No. The West this year is a gauntlet. They won, I think, 46, 47 games in a regular season. That's probably good enough for like a 6 seed. But for the West this year, it's going to be a really tough way to get to the finals this season in the West. The East, you have like 3 or 4 teams. But the West, it's going to be crazy. So I wouldn't be surprised if they lose to the Kings tomorrow. I will say it probably... look, I'm not going to bet against Steph. I think they get past the Kings here, but to get past the Lakers in the next round, I don't know, man. It's coming to an end soon. I'll say that. It's coming to an end soon.
I don't think it'll be tomorrow, but I think this will be their final playoffs. I think Draymond's gone.
You think they trade him?
Yeah. Dude, Steve Kerr will put up with a lot of stuff, but even Steve Kerr is starting to get annoyed with all of his antics to where it's like, if Steve Kerr is getting annoyed with you, then you're in trouble. And they're getting up there in age. So I think they'll get rid of Draymond. They won't get rid of Steph because they'll never sell tickets then.
Here's the thing. If they're winning games, they're not going to get rid of Draymond. Now you could argue, well, they didn't win games this year. Well, they did. It's just it took them a lot to get to that point.
Yeah, but
he's still a winning player. He still does things that you're like, all right, that's great.
I would look at it from the point of view of, we won games. How many games did he miss because he was suspended and going through therapy, or and all the other various suspensions and games where he got kicked out 5 seconds into the game? And so there's been a lot of games that they've won this year where he wasn't available, to where it's starting to look like he's less of a need than what he used to be.
All right, Brent, next question.
Should the Padres sign Jackson Merill to a contract extension now?
That's an interesting question. It's a very interesting question. And you know what? I'm going to give you my answer to that coming up next. Jackson Merill, should the Padres sign him to a contract extension right now? I'll answer that and we'll talk about it coming up next. All right, coming up next, should the Padres sign Jackson Merill to a contract extension? We'll talk about it coming up next. All right, this update is brought to you by Taco Bell. Padres coming off a series win in LA versus the Doyers. Start a 3-game series tonight in Milwaukee versus the Brewers. 4:40 first pitch. Joe Musgrove on the mound for the Padres. Other news with the Padres, they have signed Donovan Solano to a minor league contract. Moving over to the Masters yesterday, Scotty Scheffler won his second green jacket. And NFL news of the day, the Eagles, they signed Devontae Smith to a 3-year contract extension. Taco Bell's new Cravings Value menu is a big deal, or rather, it's 10 big deals, from new items like the loaded nachos to familiar favorites like the spicy potato soft taco. Check it out at a participating Taco Bell today, available for a limited time only while supplies last. All right, back here on Jon and Jim. And, before the break, we talked about Jackson Merill. That was one of the rap questions. Should the Padres sign Jackson Merill to a contract extension? Me and Brent were talking about it and discussing it during the break. And while it's crazy to even, I think, bring up at this time, and granted, majority of myself leans towards, come on, really, it's been 56 at bats or 58 at bats. Like, give me a break. Maybe, let's talk about it after maybe 150 at bats or 200 at bats. If he's still doing this at the 200 at bat mark of his rookie season this year, then I think there should be legitimate discussion about it. I mean, if he is hitting what 330 or whatever he's doing right now, and it's in August, then it's going to, I think, become a real discussion. But hey, let's get out in front of it now. Why not? And would you sign Jackson Merill to a contract extension? 877-767-4760. Or you can text me, 70470. Start your message with team. Or if you want to hop on the YouTube chat right now, go and watch us on YouTube. Search for Jon and Jim 760 on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button on these videos and put it in the YouTube chat. We'll get to your comment there. But while it is borderline a silly discussion at this point in time, it will be a discussion here in the future. So it's not like, why are you talking about signing Jackson Merill to a contract extension? Well, because we'll probably be talking about signing Jackson Merill to a contract extension in the future, if not the near future. It will come up. So why not get out in front of it and talk about it now? Brent, would you 7 years, his entire arbitration plus a year of out of control? So you locked up his arbitration years and 1 year after that, 7 years, I don't know, $65 million.
No, I want to wait. I said during the break that it's one of my pet peeves with the Padres, besides the fact that they never address their needs in the offseason, is they always feel like they need to sign and lock everybody up to these long-term deals. They did it with Cronenworth to where, oh, we got to sign him to like a 12-year deal. Not everyone has to sign like a double-digit year deal. He's under control for a little bit yet. Let's just let it ride out for a little bit and just see how it pans out. So then we're not stuck in another, long-term deal where 3 years into the deal, we're going to be like, oh crap, we're kind of stuck now and there's no way to get out of it. On the flip side, sure, if he just goes off and, becomes the next Mike Trout or something, yes, you want to get in on the ground floor now before, he costs too much. But, on the other end of the coin though, what if he just has a good year and then it's just average at best for the rest of it, and then you're stuck with him for 10 or 12 years? So I say no. Let's just give him a full season at least, maybe next year, and then see how he does. And let's get some consistency with him. And if he goes 2 years in a row, then sign him.
I agree with you, because we know the track record here with Preller. 56 at bats or whatever, how many at bats he has on the season. I got to pull his exact stats up, because I keep saying 56 at bats, and I might be wrong on this. Let me pull up Jackson Merill here. All right, pull that up. Jackson Merill. All right, here we go. I was wrong. 54 at bats. 54 at bats. He's hitting .333 with a home run, 5 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, an .845 OPS. And I said this with Kyle Glazer. I think the most impressive part of what Jackson Merill is doing is he has a .419 on base percentage. He has struck out only 11 times. He has 8 walks in his career so far through 54 at bats. That to me is the most impressive part about Jackson Merill. His defense has been fantastic. You could argue his defense has been the most impressive part, but hitting at the major league level is just different. And when you're 20 years old, there's going to be a massive learning curve, which is what you would think. You would think it would take a 20-year-old some time. Look at what Jackson Holliday is doing with the Orioles. He just got his first hit the other day. I think he started his career 0 for 15 or whatever. And so this game is hard. And when you're a 20-year-old, not, being seasoned potentially enough in the minor leagues, it feels like it's going to be harder for you to develop. But with Jackson, what he is doing, you can't help but be super impressed with everything from the plate discipline to his at bats. It doesn't feel like he's giving up many at bats. He's not a guy that's going to go up there and strike out a ton. It feels like, he is the complete opposite of what Trent Grisham was for this team. And that is what they desperately needed. That's why I was screaming my head off last year to just get rid of Trent Grisham, because you can find somebody easily to not only replace him, but to do better than him, because he sucks.
It's kind of like one of those, when Kevin Acey was on with Darren this afternoon, he said that, he kind of compared it loosely to when Tatis came up, to where, all the so-called experts said, oh, it's first year in the majors, he's going to struggle. Everyone struggles. He's going to struggle. Just wait. He's going to struggle. It's going to come. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And he never struggled that first year. I'm not saying that, Jackson Merrill's going to go all year without having any struggles, but it just seems like so far he's doing everything. He had that awesome catch on Friday night. Was that Betts or Freeman that hit that.
I think it was Ohtani, actually.
It was.
Because Ohtani would have been a stand-up
when he
double.
dove on the warning track.
Yeah, it was an amazing catch.
So, yeah, he's been impressive.
He's been impressive, that is for sure.
But not a big enough sample size, though.
No, you don't want to jump the gun. And I know everybody wants to jump the gun. Everyone wants to have the jersey in the cart. Everyone wants to have this guy forever. Everyone thinks that Jackson Merrill is going to be a 330 hitter for the entirety of his career. That's just not the case. It's not. Trust me. We were all sitting here, and I said I was cautiously optimistic about Jackson Merrill. I wanted him to succeed. So far, he's absolutely done that. It doesn't make a season, though. 54 bats does not make a season. It doesn't even make a month. It makes a couple weeks.
Well, just the fact that we were saying before the season that, all he has to, he doesn't have to replace Soto. He just has to replace what Grisham did or didn't do. And he's
blown Grisham's production out of the water.
Exactly. And you know how you could tell that? Because nobody's going, oh man, we really blew it. We shouldn't have traded Grisham away.
Well, no one. I don't think anybody was going to say that in the first place, regardless of what Jackson Merrill was going to do for you this year. But there might have been a sentiment.
You never know, because it's going back to the Pham thing. When Pham was here, everyone's like, "Oh God, he's awful." And then as soon as he left, it's like, "Oh, we should bring Pham back. We should bring Pham back."
The only thing that I think people might have been on the side of Trent Grisham is better than Jackson Merill at this
defensively
would be defensively in center field. That's not the case. Jackson Merill is every bit as good as Trent Grisham in center field, maybe even better, because it feels like his range is wider. He is making all the routine catches. He hasn't done anything in the outfield to say like, oh, you can't do it. He's made some really, really nice defensive plays, like the catch on Friday night. I think that the conversation will come eventually of should we lock up Jackson Merill through his arbitration years and see if we can get 1 or 2 years into his free agency period. But it's not right now. Will continue to say, keep Jackson Merill where he is in the lineup. Just let him continue to develop. I know they moved him up today to, I think, 6th. Don't move him up anymore. Okay.
So you don't want him batting leadoff again?
The only time you want him batting leadoff is if you're resting Bogey, or if you are, resting guys, and whatever the case may be, or if something happens. That conversation again will come up later. Not right now. Keep him towards the bottom of the lineup. He's doing well there. He's producing. And the conversation about signing him to a contract, it's going to come. Just not right now. All right, 877-767-4760. Call right now if you want to play Trainwreck Radio. Again, that number, 877-767-4760. We have a great prize for you today. We're giving away a pair of tickets to see AJR on May 1st at Pechanga Arena. Call right now, 877-767-4760. Your chance to win a pair of tickets to see AJR on May 1st at Pechanga Arena. We're playing Trainwreck Radio. Surprise, it's just me today, so I will be your partner in Trainwreck Radio. 877-767-4760. Your chance to win tickets to see AJR on May 1st at Pechanga Arena. Yes, Brent.
I was just going to say, now you can get 2 lifeline questions wrong.
Yes, you can get 2 lifeline questions wrong from me. Perfect. Call right now, 877-767-4760. Trainwreck Radio coming up next. All right, Trainwreck Radio coming up next. All right, back here on Jon and Jim coming up at the top of the hour. Voice of the Lakers, John Ireland, will join us. Lakers have a play-in game tomorrow afternoon versus the Pelicans. It's the 7-8 matchup. Winner of that game would be the 7 seed, and then the loser of that game would take on the winner of the 9-10 matchup, which is the Warriors and Kings. And then the winner of that game would be the 8 seed. So you would be potentially, if you're the Lakers, if you win tomorrow, then you would be taking on, it looks like you'd be taking on
The Nuggets.
The Nuggets.
So they'd be better off. Well, that's a good question for John.
Yep.
Because I don't think they want anything of Joker.
I
want anyway.
I agree with that. And the way it pans out here, Oklahoma City, the tiebreaker gives them the number 1 overall seed.
I know. They already got it. Isn't that just weird to say? The
I know.
OKC Thunder.
Well, now it is. But back in the day, you were like,
sure, 10 years ago when they had KD, Harden, and Westbrook,
right,
and everybody on the same team, but just, all 7'6", 50 pounds of Chet Holmgren and
say Gilgeous-Alexander, the guy you can never say his name.
I can say 2 out of 3 parts of
Shea Alexander. But that is going to be interesting. We'll talk to the voice of the Lakers, John Ireland, coming up at 5 p.m. But right now, Brent, let's get to it.
All right, 3 questions, 2 contestants, 1 lifeline. Today's 2 contestants, we have Tommy and we have Iggy. Normally, Tommy, since you called in first, you would have your choice of John. You guys got to turn your radio down. Normally, you'd have your choice of John or Jim for a partner, but since John isn't here today, Tommy, that just means you're going to get to go first, okay?
Sounds good.
All right, so Tommy's first, then Iggy.
All right,
so,
Iggy, you there?
Iggy, you there?
I'm here.
All right, just double check.
All righty. Brent, what is the question of the day?
All right, we were just talking the NBA regular season wrapped up over the weekend. This season, the league set a new record for sellouts with 872 sellouts. The old record was 791. There was actually 10 teams, though, this year that sold out every single game.
What?
Yep, there's 10 teams in the league that sold out every game. Today's question, name any of those 10 NBA teams that sold out every home game this year.
All right. So teams that sold out every single home game this year in the NBA. Tommy, you're up first. What is your first guess? And you have a lifeline, which is me if you want to use it.
Ooh, well, let's start off with that number 1 seed in the West, Oklahoma City Thunder.
Oklahoma City Thunder. Do they sell out every game, Brent? Oh, yeah. I don't know if people thought they're going to be the number 1 seed overall at the start of the season. They might have sold out a bunch of games towards the end of the year, but
they probably had an attendance boom at the end.
Yeah. All right, Iggy, you're up next. What is your first guess? You do have your lifeline, which is me, if you want to use it.
Hey, I grew up in Texas, so I got to go with my team, the Dallas Mavericks.
The Dallas Mavericks. Good guess on the list. Luka, Kyrie. Good guess. Tommy, you're up next. What is your second guess? You do have your lifeline, which is me, if you want to use it.
What about, I'm going to go with Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs.
Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs. Yeah, they're one of the worst teams in basketball. Victor Wembanyama was amazing. Had like one of the all-time best rookie seasons ever.
They had him on minute restrictions though, so that
Yeah.
probably affected ticket sales.
All right, Iggy, you could win it right here with the walk-off, and you also have a lifeline which you could use here. What are you going to do, man?
Oh, I've got to go with my grandson's favorite team. He's the point guard, and he loves Golden State Warriors.
The Golden State Warriors and Stephen Curry. Are they on the list? They are on the list. Your grandson is a very, very smart kid or adult or whatever for having them be your favorite team. So congratulations to Iggy. He won a pair of tickets to see AJR on May 1st at Pechanga Arena. Of course, tickets are available at Ticketmaster.com today. Brent, what other teams do we miss on this list?
Okay, you didn't get a single lifeline. So what would have your 2 guesses been today?
It would have been Warriors and Lakers.
One was right. Warriors, yes. Lakers, no.
They didn't sell out every game?
Nope. The top 10, the teams that sold out every game, home game,
right.
Celtics, obviously.
Okay, that makes sense.
This is kind of a surprise. Cleveland. Yep, Cleveland sold out every home game this year.
Good for Cleveland, I
the
guess.
Mavs, which Iggy mentioned, Denver, Golden State, the Heat.
Okay.
Minnesota.
All right.
Which that makes sense because they were, top 2 teams pretty much for most of the season. The 76ers, the Suns, and your former team, the Kings.
Kings and Warriors are facing off tomorrow. It's a win-win situation for me, right?
Yeah.
All right, coming up next.
You're gonna have childhood flashbacks.
No, I didn't.
Where's
have
Peja and C-Web?
Those teams were awesome.
I know. I like those Kings teams.
They were great teams, and I was like 10 years old, so I'm not gonna say, oh, I'm not gonna watch this team because of this and that and whatever.
White chocolate. Those teams are awesome,
dude. I loved Jason Williams.
Oh yeah,
Jason Williams, and then it turned into Mike Bibby. But if you just look up some Jason Williams highlights on YouTube, you're like, this guy was amazing. Now, of course, the league caught up to him and everything, but his time at Sacramento, those teams with Weber, Peja, Vlade, you had Christie, and then later on, Mike Bibby showed up. Like, those teams were fun as hell. I love those teams. But no, I will not. I will not sit here and be rooting for both teams tomorrow. There's only one team I'll be rooting for, and that is Iggy's grandson's favorite Golden State Warriors with Steph Curry. That's what's going to happen tomorrow. All right, coming up next, the voice of the Lakers, John Ireland, and he'll join us, talk about the Lakers play-in game tomorrow versus the Pelicans. Also, we'll give you an update on the Padres Brewers game that's underway right now in Milwaukee. All that coming up next on Jon and Jim. This update is brought to you by Taco Bell. Padres Brewers underway in Milwaukee. Brewers lead the Padres 1-0 top of the second inning there. WNBA draft is underway tonight. No surprise, Caitlin Clark got drafted number 1 overall by the Indiana Fever. Moving over to the Masters yesterday, Scottie Scheffler won his second green jacket. And NFL news of the day, Devontae Smith signed a 3-year contract extension with the Eagles. Another news in baseball, John Sterling, the longtime voice of the Yankees, announced his retirement today. Taco Bell's new Cravings Value Menu is a big deal, or rather it's 10 big deals, from new items like the loaded nachos to familiar favorites like the spicy potato soft taco. Check it out at our participating Taco Bell today, available for a limited time only while supplies last. All right, Jon and Jim on a Monday. Jon is off for the week. It's just me and Brent holding down the fort until he gets back. Padres underway in Milwaukee. They're trailing 1-0 there. And the NBA season, we talked about it. It went by literally like that. It feels that way, at least. And now we are already into the play-in tournament, which starts tomorrow. And the playoffs will then start this upcoming weekend. And the Lakers will take on the Pelicans tomorrow in the 7-8 matchup. Winner of that, hey, congratulations. You won your first play-in tournament game. You're going to face who? The defending NBA champion Denver Nuggets. John Ireland, voice of the Lakers, joining us right now on Jon and Jim. How are you viewing this game coming up? Because you obviously want the Lakers to win this matchup so then they secure their place into the postseason and not have to potentially play another game where if they lose that, they're not making the postseason. But if you win this game, you're facing the Denver Nuggets. Is this like a situation where it doesn't matter? Or is there some maybe strategy behind this game coming up tomorrow?
So you're suggesting that they tank it?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying if you win, you're like the better matchup might not be versus the Nuggets. Would you say that's right, or do you not care?
No, that is right. But I don't think I strongly feel, and I hope they do too, that you can't play with your food here.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't go out tomorrow night and intentionally lose a game. I just did my show with my longtime partner, Steve Mason, and Mason argued for 3 hours that the Lakers should tank this game. And he's an idiot. I mean, you can't do that. Number one, you're tempting fate, guys. You mess with that, there is no guarantee that you're getting out of Friday night's game. So the way this works is the loser tomorrow night, the Lakers are going to play the Pelicans in the first game. That'll start at 4:30 your time.
Yeah.
And I'm in New Orleans, so it starts 6:30 here. But
right.
Tomorrow night, 4:30, Lakers are going to play the Pelicans. Let's play Mason's theory out for a second.
Love it.
Let's say they sit LeBron and AD, or they don't try, or however you would execute a tank job, and they lose. Friday night, they would have to play the winner of the 9-10 game, which is between Golden State and Sacramento. This year, guys, against the Kings and the Warriors, the Lakers are 1-7. And the one game they won was at Golden State, 146-145 in double overtime. So they're almost 0-8 against those two teams. So if you're saying, look, we don't want anything to do with the Nuggets, we want to get on the other side of the bracket, and you're suggesting that they lose tomorrow on purpose, it's a terrible strategy, because then all of a sudden you're in a position on Friday night in a one-gamer against the Kings, who are 4-0, or the Warriors, who you were 1-3 against this season. So to me, this is not even a debate.
For Mason, it was very much a debate because I just had it with him for 3 hours. But to me, I don't know. What do you guys think? I just don't think you can lose on purpose. It never works out for you in the end.
No, I agree. This is it's a situation where you do not want to tempt fate because, like you said, they've not played well against the Warriors and the Kings this year. And yes, if you win, guess what? You're going to face the defending champions, and that is going to be a tougher matchup on paper than the OKC Thunder. But at the same time, you got to win tomorrow so you don't tempt fate. I'm with you. It's going to be a tough matchup in the first round, but to tempt fate like that and to potentially tank tomorrow's game, it could kind of mess things up when they've been playing really good basketball of late to end the season.
Now, we should mention they could lose while they're trying to win. I mean,
True.
They could go out tomorrow night and with every intention of doing the right thing and trying to win the game. And I think the Pelicans are going to be really mad because we embarrassed them here yesterday. It's the second time this year we've done it. We did it to them in the in-season tournament in Vegas. We beat them by 44. And at one point last night here, we were up by 32. So you know that they're just stewing. Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram and Willie Green and all the Pelicans do not want to go out like that. So the Lakers could get the matchup you're talking about, the one where they would have to play on Friday, even if they try. So I think you can't mess around with any of this. You just have to play the game in front of you, try as hard as you can to win every game. And let's face it, guys, if you're going to be the new champ, you got to beat the old champ. So somebody's going to have to take Denver down. And I've been saying this for the last couple hours too. The media and the fans think that there is no way the Lakers can eliminate Denver in a 7-game series. I've been hearing it for 6 months. The Laker players do not subscribe to that theory. If you talk to them about Denver, they'll say, bring them on. You know, we played 2 games against them this year where we had the lead with 5 minutes to go, and then we blew it. So they think they can hang with the Nuggets. Whether or not they can remains to be seen. But they aren't scared. The players and the Laker coaches aren't scared. The fans and the media are, but the players and the staff aren't.
And do you think the fans should have maybe a little more confidence? Because, like, going up against the Nuggets, yes, it's, oh my God, it's Joker. But the way that Anthony Davis has played this year, he has got back to that level where you want to go up against the best because you also have one of the best players on the planet now on your team. And I feel like that would give at least some confidence or at least some solace here, knowing that Anthony Davis is playing at a level that all Lakers fans expect and want to see him play at.
Everything you just said is 100% true. But look at, AD has been AD. Look at LeBron.
Right.
I mean, LeBron at this age, he's the oldest player in the NBA. Guys, he had 17 assists yesterday.
It's incredible.
17 at age 39. LeBron is playing as well as anybody. So the way you set this up when you first got this segment rolling, saying, oh, great, you win your first playoff game, your prize is you get to play Denver. I kind of look at it a little bit the opposite. How about your Denver? You play hard all year. You end up blowing the 1 seed by losing to San Antonio on, what was it, Thursday night. And now your prize, your reward for finishing with the second best record in the West is you have to play LeBron and AD in a 7-game series in round 1.
Mm-hmm.
That's no gift to the Nuggets. So I actually think that it would be a series. I know the Nuggets have knocked the Lakers around pretty good for the last 9 or 10 games, but they've got to break that streak at some point. And I think their attitude is, we've been knocking on the door, trying to beat these guys, and we're close. Maybe we could do it now.
John Ireland, voice of the Lakers, joining us here on San Diego Sports 760. It's not just LeBron and Anthony Davis this year. While they've been fantastic, I feel like D'Angelo Russell, he has been a very, very nice surprise for this team. Like maybe around the midway mark, maybe earlier than that, he started to take off and he became a vital piece for this team. How has D'Angelo Russell kind of elevated his game this year around LeBron and AD?
I think you've hit the nail on the head here. I think he might be the whole X factor to whether or not the Lakers can make a playoff run. When he's on, he was 5 of 10 from 3. He didn't put the ball over. He played really well. When he's playing like that, the Lakers are really hard to beat. When he's not, when he's slumping, their backcourt is very average. So I think tomorrow night will be another. We interviewed D'Lo after the win yesterday, and I said, "Hey, you've been in a slump. He came into that game 10 of his last 38, and you found your way out of it. What do you think the key to that was?" And he said, "I don't think I've been in a slump. I think that I've just been tired. My legs have been tired. It's the end of a long season. I'm starting to feel better. I'm starting to feel fresh." And that's another reason why you want to try and win this game tomorrow night if you're the Lakers, because it's one less game you have to play. If they have to play Friday, guys, we would turn around and get on if we win that game, and that's a big if.
Yeah.
But if we won it, we would be on a flight Saturday morning to Oklahoma City to play them on Sunday. If we win tomorrow night, then we fly home after the game. We'll be in LA Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, fly to Denver Friday. So when you've got the oldest player in the league on your team, and you've got guys with a lot of mileage on them because we went to the Western Conference Finals last year, it would help a lot if we didn't have to play an extra game. And so that's another reason why they should try and win tomorrow.
There's been a lot of criticism this year, maybe more towards the earlier parts of the season on Darvin Ham, but I feel like Darvin Ham maybe might get a lot of flack here when it's not warranted. Do you think that's the same way here, that Darvin Ham is getting criticized maybe, too much or not? The season this year, the West has been crazy. And the West this year has, top team after top team after top team. You could argue it's one of the deepest Western Conference playoffs in years, but Darvin Ham unfairly criticized?
I don't know if it's unfair. I mean, I think what he would say is he knew when he took the job that the Lakers is a win or you're fired job. The weird thing, to your point, is they won 47 games this year. Last year, they would have been the 4 seed.
Yeah, it's crazy.
This year, they're the 7. So the whole West just got better. And I think Darvin knows he's in a win or you're fired job. I've been advocating for a long time that the Lakers pick a coach and stick with them. Because think about this, guys. Since Phil Jackson left in 2011, we had Mike Brown 2 years and out, Mike D'Antoni 2 years and out, Byron Scott 2 years and out, Luke Walton 2 years and out, Frank Vogel 3 years and out, and now Darvin in his second year. So if you change the coach again, you're just kind of a clown car of coaches. And you've got to, at some point, commit to a guy and let him do his thing. And I think Darvin, by the way he coached last year, got him all the way to the Western Conference Finals, and by the way he's coached this year, 47 wins, is a really good candidate for that. So I'm personally voting for them to keep him. I've also been around long enough to know, I just read you the list of coaches we've had in the last 12 years, that the Lakers are a win or you're fired job. So it would help him a lot if they could not only win tomorrow night, but win a playoff series or two, and that would quiet the crowd. But so to answer your question, I don't know if he's been unfairly criticized. I think it comes with the job, but I hope, just speaking as a Laker fan and somebody who likes Darvin and likes his staff, I hope that the Lakers invest in him and bring him back next year. I obviously don't have those conversations. Rob Pelinka, strangely, guys, does not call me
what
coaching decisions.
He doesn't call people in the media.
I know they like Darvin, and I think if he wins a little bit here over the next couple of weeks, he can lock himself in.
Yeah, another trip to the Western Conference Finals, I think, would help his cause a lot there. John, thanks for joining us, man. Have a good call tomorrow. Lakers and Pelicans tomorrow afternoon in New Orleans, the 7-8 matchup. John Ireland, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it, man. Have a great rest of your night, all right?
Appreciate you having me on, boys. Have a great show.
All right, John Ireland there, the voice of the Lakers. He's so good. He's so good. It's like you just have him, and he's a pro's pro. He's the guy that you like, the dream type of guest that you want on, because sometimes you get guests on, Brent, and it's hard because you have to try to play back and forth and whatnot. But for him, it's like the easiest conversation imaginable, because he's a radio talk show host. He's a guy that does the job. He understands the job. He understands when you're in the chair and you're getting interviewed, and when you're interviewing somebody. He's just so good. So good.
Yeah, you don't get short answers.
Oh, no. You can. He's like, hey, John, tell me about this. And he will go, and it's just great. Love John Ireland. Fantastic. Lakers, Pelicans tomorrow afternoon. It is an interesting conversation, though. Like, do you tank the matchup to get potentially a better matchup with the OKC Thunder, or do you just say, screw it, we're going through the best here, we don't care?
You almost just have to say screw it, because what happens if you say, okay, we're just gonna not worry about tomorrow and then just focus all on Friday, and then you lose.
No, I
and then you don't get it
agree.
at all, and then then the joke that everyone made halfway through the season is going to come true, that the Lakers are going to celebrate the in-season tournament, and then that's all they're going to have to celebrate, and it's just going to come to fruition. So I don't know, the West is a lot more interesting, I think, than the East. I think
a lot more interesting,
especially with my Bucks have pretty much been in the toilet.
Is Giannis like going to be okay, or like what's going on there?
He'll be all right, but
the calf issue that just magically, mysteriously came out of nowhere.
I don't know. Giannis isn't really the problem; it's the rest of the teams. Trying.
So you're not excited with No,
I think it's Boston's to lose. It's going to be one of those. If Boston doesn't make it, then this year's going to go down as like one of the most embarrassing years in Boston history.
You're right.
They had all
year.
those games that they've, what was it, like 4 or 5 games that they won by like over 60 points this year. And then, if they don't at least make a finals appearance, it'll be a waste of a season for them.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm a little distracted right now because I just looked up at the top of the TV here, and it's the Brewers 3, Padres nothing at the end of the second inning. You okay, Joe? Hey, how you doing, Joe? I will continue to remain the person that says I'm not going to be worried about Joe Musgrove. But nope, I'm gonna continue to be that guy. I'm not gonna be worried about Joe Musgrove. I'm not gonna be worried about Joe. I'm not gonna be worried about Joe. I'm not gonna be worried about Joe. I'm not gonna sit here and say that Joe's gonna have a bad year, because it's only 4 starts. It's 4 starts. Healthy is the most important thing. Just be healthy.
Look, the same reason why I'm not jumping on the Jackson Merill bandwagon after 56 at bats.
Jackson Merill with another hit today, by the way.
Well, good. Keep it up. But that's the same reason why I'm not going to jump on the Musgrove sucks now bandwagon just off of 4 starts.
Right. He's built up enough equity here to prove, like,
give another month and a half. If he's still struggling like this, then I'm going to be worried. And I think we all should be worried.
If the next month is like the first couple starts here, then you got you have a little bit of a problem. But I trust Joe. I think he's going to turn it around. I don't sit here. I'm not going to sit here and say that Joe's regressing, or Joe's not the same pitcher or whatever, just because it's 4 starts. Now, did he have a good spring? No. He hasn't had really a consistent amount of time here where he's looked like Joe Musgrove. So that is a little concerning through spring training and now. But I mean, he's had at least one good start this year.
He had that one decent start, but they got no run support.
Against the Cardinals, he was good. And so it's early for him, for some of these guys. We're not freaking out about Manny Machado yet, and he hasn't been off to a hot start. He's had a decent start, but he's not come out to a hot start. But yeah, I'm not going to sit here and be worried about Joe, and I don't think you guys should be either. The only thing that I will say is, like, we talked about how the trend lines are all pointing up. Well, that's awesome. That's great. But if they're a 500 team, none of it matters. I'll continue to say it. None of it matters. The record is the most important thing, and it has to match their trend lines, which are all pointing upwards. So if they're going to go out there with one of the best offenses in baseball, if they're going to go out there with really good starting pitching, if they're going to go out there and have a rookie who is hitting 330 plus, and Fernando Tatis Jr. putting up numbers, he already threw out a base. That has to be reflective of your record. You have to have a good record. So if you end up losing today's game, which I'm not going to say that that's already in the bag. Last year, you're down 3-0. It's over. Last year's team, 3-0. It was over. This year's team, hopefully it's different. It's felt different. It has seemingly looked different and better. And I don't think anybody in that dugout right now is sitting there saying, yeah, this game's over. We're down 3-0. Maybe Joe doesn't have it tonight. It's over. If the indicators are what they are, there is no shot this game is going to be just like last year. And last year against the Brewers, they were 1-6. Anytime the Padres played the Brewers last year, they just did not match up well with them at all. Maybe that's the case this year. I mean, the Brewers are a team that they're going to be fighting for potentially for a wild card spot. If not, then the Cardinals are going to be a team potentially. The Cubs potentially a team that for fighting for a wild card spot. I didn't think the Brewers were going to be off to this good of a start this year. They lost Devin Williams. They
lost Counsell. That was my thing.
They lost Counsell. They traded Corbin Burns. And 10-4 start, that's really good. If the end of this series, at the end of this series on Thursday, we come in here, or I guess Wednesday, because they'll play on Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. And they have a 3-3 road trip. That means they only win one game in this series. We said to start the road trip last week on Friday, hey, if you go 3-3, you take it. Do you still take 3-3 road trip? Do you still take a 3-3 road trip? 70470. Start your message with team 877-767-4760. Do you sit there and say on Wednesday afternoon, yeah, I'm okay with it if they go 3-3 and lose the next 2 or 3 to Milwaukee? Because for me, I have a different mindset. After what happened this past weekend for the Dodgers series. We'll talk about that. Also, got a back page that I'm looking forward to coming up later in the hour here. Stay with us on Jon and Jim. All right, Padres Brewers underway. We'll update you on that game. And at the end of this road trip, will you be okay with a 3-3 road trip after they took 2 or 3 from the Dodgers this weekend? We'll talk about that coming up next. All right, this update is brought to you by Taco Bell. Update in the Padres Brewers game. Brewers lead the Padres 3-0, bottom of the third inning there. Number 42 has 3 RBIs in the game for the Brewers. Number 42 has given up 3 earned runs for the Padres.
He's pretty awesome, 42.
42 is a great baseball player. Moving over to the WNBA draft is today, and Caitlin Clark, no surprise here, got drafted number 1 overall by the Indiana Fever. And NFL news of the day, Devontae Smith signed a 3-year contract extension with the Philadelphia Eagles. Taco Bell's new Cravings Value menu is a big deal, or rather it's 10 big deals, from new items like the loaded nachos to familiar favorites like the spicy potato soft taco. Check it out at a participating Taco Bell today, available for a limited time only while supplies last. On a Monday, Padres Brewers. Like I said, number 42 has been really good for the Brewers today. Brent, you think that they should have their names on the back here?
I brought this up during the break. That look, I love Jackie Robinson Day. It's one of my favorite days of the year, and I get that. When Jackie Robinson played, the Dodgers didn't have names on the back of the jerseys. There's just a number. But if we're gonna give every player on both teams 42, can we put the names on the back?
It is tough because you're like, huh?
If you don't, have the TV overlays or somebody to tell you who is doing what, it's kind of like, oh, look, it's 42, and it's just like, can we just put the names on the back? Would that be like sacrilege?
I think that would, because the whole idea of it is, you put a name on the back. It's about the number. So I understand what you're saying, and I get you. Like, there's sometimes if it's not the Padres, right? And I'm watching the Brewers. I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't know any of these guys in the Brewers.
Yeah, exactly. That was my thing. When the Brewers knocked that last run here a couple minutes ago, it's like, who hit that? Oh, it's 42.
Yeah,
that's helpful.
But I watch the Padres and I know who every single player is. It might take me a second for like Tyler Wade, but everybody else, I know who they are. So it's I know Gary Sanchez is on.
I didn't even know he was with them.
Yeah, he's on the Brewers right now, and he'd be very, very Padres. Gary Sanchez did anything right here against Joe Musgrove, but after what the Padres did this weekend versus the Dodgers, expectations change. And while you look at the Brewers, it's a tough series, no doubt about it. If you come back home on Friday versus the Blue Jays and you're 3-3 on your last 6-game road trip, I feel like that would be a little bit of a disappointment, especially after you played so well in LA. So getting 2-3 here from the Brewers, I'm not saying it's the end all be all. Even if you lose 2-3 here from the Brewers and you have a 3-3 road trip, that we all said we would have signed up for it on Friday. So I'm not saying it's the end of the world. Just you want to get greedy. You feel like you have a chance to get greedy, and if you miss that opportunity, it does kind of suck. So I think winning 2-3 here from Milwaukee feels kind of important early on in your season, especially after what you did versus the Dodgers. You have that opportunity. Like, you don't want to have potential, um, streaks get ruined here. And if you come up with winning 2 games in this series, you come home, you're 4-2, you feel really good about yourself. And you start getting that, over 500, and you start padding some wins here. And hopefully by the end of the month, you look up and it's like, okay, we did really good. And it started with that series against the Cubs and the Dodgers, and you parlayed that into a winning month.
Yeah, you just don't want to come out flat after the momentum from the Cubs comeback and the series victory in LA over the weekend. It's kind of like how in football, USC might upset Alabama or something, and then the following week they'll lose to San Jose State or something because they're so focused on beating the previous team that they just come out flat. They just weren't prepared. So I think if for everything that happened in the Cup Series in LA over the weekend, they would just come out and just lean back the series against the Brewers. They would almost just feel like everything that they did in LA was not for nothing, but just kind of feel wasted.
Now, today's game, kind of one of those like scheduled losses almost, because thanks a lot, schedule makers. You have a Sunday night baseball game in LA, and then you have to travel across country to Milwaukee. You don't get in until 3 a.m. or what, 4 a.m., and then you have to play a game that day. It's understandable if tonight you're like, maybe we just don't have it. Understandable, because thanks a lot, baseball. You ended up having a weird travel day across country after a Sunday night baseball game. But even with the slow start today, you still feel like there's potential there to have another comeback, because that's what they are kind of making their identity out to be, is to be a team that has these comebacks, even if they're trailing in games, and that they're never out of it. And you get the belief from the fan base, which is important as well. Because if the fan base just automatically gives up on you, that's tough. Happened last year. Everyone gave up. But the reason why everyone gave up is because the team quit. They quit in games when they trailed by three runs or more, or even a run. It felt like it was over. When you watch a team that quits, why should I go out there and root for a team that I openly know quits in games? So when you have that opposite effect this year, where you have a team that's always going to fight, a team that's never going to quote unquote give up, you're not going to be doing that as a fan. You feel like I got to watch this game to the end, because there's that opportunity and there's that chance that the team will come back because they've shown it and they have that in their back pocket.
Well, it's like last weekend. Last year, as soon as the Dodgers would have went up 5-3,
over.
I'm like, okay, I have to find something else to watch or play PlayStation.
Time to play PlayStation.
But, this year it's like, they fall behind, but I'm still, I may check out for an heat or two. I'm going to check back in on the score. Where last year it was like, I'm done. I didn't want to check on the score. It's probably we actually have faith that they can come back from a moderate deficit this year?
And it starts with just having good at bats. A lot of times last year, you saw this team just put up really bad at bat after bad at bat after bad at bat when they were trailing in games. And this year, more often than not, they've put together good at bats, which has sparked the comebacks. And it could be as easy as just having a 10 pitch walk, or as easy just grinding out a 7 pitch at bat single, a little bloop hit, something. And that's what they've shown they can do. And you love to see it. So I just got a text from John, and he's currently now at his old high school. Whoops. He's currently at his old high school. This vacation looks like the most boring vacation I've ever seen in my entire life. he's going to the Crayola factory and his old high school.
What did John say?
He said that
Shut up, nerd!
Shut up, nerd!
The text line's been asking for that for like 2.5 hours. So there you go.
One of the greatest drops
Shut up, nerd!
in the history of drops here on Jon and Jim. 858 number on the text line. Are you high, Jim? A contract extension for Merill after a few at bats? Come on, bro. Bro, I didn't say that. I literally said, don't give him a contract extension now, but the conversation will be coming up here in the future.
We're just throwing out the hypothetical.
It's just a hypothetical, bro. The contract extension for Jackson Merill, if he continues to do this, will come up sooner than later. Not right now, but it eventually, like if at the All-Star break, hell, if Jackson Merill makes an All-Star team, then you can absolutely start having that conversation. If 150 at bats in, 200 at bats in, he's still doing what he's doing, then yeah, contract extension will be talked about. And hell, maybe they're talking about it right now. Maybe they're having like preliminary discussions, like, hey, throwing around the idea in the group chat or whatever. Should we start thinking about this? Should we start thinking about a contract extension for Action Jackson, for Merill? That will be a discussion. I mean, he already has a hit today. I mean, what's he hitting, Brent? 340 on the year?
I think it's like 280.
No, he's hitting 345, Brent. He's hitting 345 on the season. I know he came into today's game hitting 333. He already has a hit today. Bumping that average up to 345. Leads the team in batting average, by the way. He's got to be up there in all of baseball in batting average.
And his birthday's on Friday.
And he can finally start drinking.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
He right now, Brent, excuse me. He's 14th in baseball in batting average, 345, as a 20-year-old rookie. In the National League, he's top 10. Top 10 in batting average in the National League. Top 15 in all of baseball as a 20-year-old rookie. I don't see any other 20-year-old rookies doing what he's doing. I know there's a bunch right now in baseball, but to me, he's been amazing. So the contract extension conversation, it's going to happen. Probably this year, most likely. But I will say it shouldn't happen right now. All right, coming up next, we'll continue to give you an update on this Padres Brewers game, but my back page coming up for you next. All right, coming up next, you got to hear this stupid interview from a dumb Dodger fan at last night's Dodgers-Padres game in my back page coming up next. Okay, this rookie for the Brewers, Brent, is amazing. How do you say his last name? Chirino?
Chirino, yeah.
Dude.
He's rated the second best prospect in all of baseball.
He almost hit another home run off Joe Musgrove.
Yeah, the only guy that's ahead of him is
Jackson Holiday?
Yeah, Holiday.
Interesting. Where's Jackson Merill on that list? Okay.
On the list.
Not on the list yet, but he should be on the list. Whatever list there is for young 20-year-old players in baseball, Jackson Merill needs to be on it because he's been fantastic. Padres trail the Brewers 3-1 going into the top of the fifth inning in Milwaukee. So they're chipping away 3-1. Joe kind of struggled in the first couple innings there, but settled down. He's gotten through 4 so far. Not time to panic with Joe. It's not time to panic with Joe. And this game is not over. This Padres team this year, last year it was over. This year's team, it's not over yet. So there will not be, by the way, a wrap-up show tonight. I'm taking Erin out for her real birthday.
Why doesn't Aaron just do one with you?
Because we'll be out, Brent. We're going out.
When you get in.
We're going out to dinner at 6:45. We're going to Smoking Goat. And we'll probably won't be home until like 9:30ish. And wrap-up shows usually start at 9:30.
Christ, how much are you guys gonna eat?
I mean, yeah, you're probably right. I don't know.
Are you gonna eat a whole goat?
I might get. Darren texted me that I should get the pork chop tonight.
Okay, I like pork chops.
I might get the pork chop tonight. I'll go with Darren's suggestion on that. All right, paying off this tease. This Dodger fan last night. that caught Manny's home run ball, and then threw back on the field a ball that he brought to the park or a ball that he bought at the park, whatever, and then had this lame excuse of why he did it. He is a fake Dodger fan. He is a loser Dodger fan. And
so pretty much he's a Dodgers fan.
He's a Dodgers fan. So this is my back page today. Is this Dodger fan explaining to Buster Olney why he threw the ball, a fake ball, back on the field and kept the Manny Machado home run ball? Here's what he said in the bleachers yesterday.
Buster started screaming. So what do? We dispatched Buster to talk to the guy who ripped that baseball, the other ball, out of his right pocket, fired it back on the field to keep the authentic one. Buster?
Yeah, so I'm here with Renan, who's got to tell us the story of the old switcheroo. He made great plans for this.
Well, I got caught, but every ball hawk out here knows to come prepared for a reason like this. You know, a hated Padre hits a home run. You don't throw it back, you're going to get booed mercilessly by the Dodger faithful. That's happened to me in the past before. So I try to come prepared, and I put the ball in my pocket just in case it happened. And I knew Machado, big power hitter, was up, and it could happen. So I was ready.
All right, what kind of reaction did you get around you then? Because I'm guessing others might have seen the switcheroo.
Nobody in the stands called me out for the switcheroo. Everybody high-fived me and was happy I threw it back. The telecast seems to be the only people that caught it. I did admit to a few people here what I had done, but yeah, I got away scot-free from the crowd.
All right, what are you going to do with the baseball?
I'm definitely going to keep it. The wife won't like it because I try to collect baseballs a lot, and I have too many as it is. But this one's for sure going on the mantle.
All right, Renan, thank you. Throw back to you.
Buster, you just asked, what is the best baseball he's got? What's the best one?
He's actually experienced. He caught an Albert Pujols home run ball in the home run derby. Is that the best baseball you've ever caught?
Absolutely. That's the only baseball I've caught on the fly during a game. I come early for batting practice all the time. But the Pujols home run derby ball and this are the only two officially I've ever caught during a game or a derby.
So why is your wife mad at you?
We don't have enough time in the telecast to talk about that.
Thanks, Renan.
You want to know why his wife is mad at him? Is because she can't
He just made
stand
an ass of himself on national TV.
Well, that too, but she probably goes to bed every night thinking to herself, I am married to the epitome of loser that is an adult that goes ball hawking in the stands and takes away balls from potential kids that could get those home run balls or whatever. Like
he's totally one of those dudes that plows over an 8-year-old to get a ball.
He is 100% that guy. This is obviously not his first time. Those are the cringiest of cringe people on the planet that basically act like little children when little children are and should get, baseballs and whatever. God, I see a lot of it. Like I go to Petco Park and there's these adults that are like trying to jump over children's heads to get autographs. Like,
I
doing?
remember, God, you was still on the Cubs. That's how long ago this was. But I went down on the field for batting practice before a Cubs Brewers game. And there was some guy that was probably in his 40s that just sat behind the dugout the whole time I was down there. It just kept going, Rizzo, Rizzo,
Oh my
Rizzo,
God.
Rizzo, 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 sign, Rizzo, Rizzo, Rizzo. And it's just like, dude, after like 5 minutes, you should just know he's not going to come sign for you. You're like 45. You're not a kid. He's not going to go sign your, 80 pieces of merch that you have so then you can go put it on eBay. Everyone knows what you're going to do with it.
Yeah, those type of people are literally the worst. And
But
I can't stand them.
Dude, you got to throw the ball back though. That's
You got to throw the ball back.
I don't know who started that, but that's like basic etiquette at Wrigley Field.
But he wants to keep the Manny home run. And then he's trying to say, well, I hate a Dodger. I hate a former Dodger. I hate a Padre. It's like,
no, hate him too much. We're going to keep the ball.
you're keeping the ball. You're probably going to either pawn it off, sell it, or keep it in your house as a momentum. Cringe. All right, we're back tomorrow. Jon and Jim. Again, no John, just me and Brent. We'll recap the Padres game 1 versus the Brewers. They're making a little bit of a comeback here. They're never out of it. They're never out of it. So we'll recap that game, get ready for game 2 of Padres and Brewers. I'm off to dinner, celebrate the birthday girl. Brent's off to home, wherever. Walk Peanut. And we'll talk to you tomorrow on Jon and Jim. You're listening to San Diego Sports 760. Okay. Peace out, brother.